what do they do with their garbage? If they
You know,
don't-
I can't tell anyone to do
I mean,
this.
are there any alternatives that's approved by the state?
No, there isn't. And they don't even have a bag rate in Lincoln County. And they will not give Lincoln County a bag rate. And I can't legally say, you know, for an elderly person, just to give it to someone who's on, you know, who has garbage service and let them get rid of their one bag of trash. You know, we're not trying to get people, you know, to sign up on service. They could get rid of it in any lawful manner. If you'll read this, it's what we're talking about, you know, disposing of your waste in any lawful manner.
Yeah.
And some people have jobs where they can take it to work and put it in their dumpsters, you know, they're allowed to do so.
My only concern is the fact that we have the manpower to enforce it, and the fact that with the economy as it is, people having a hard enough time to buy their medicine and their food. But otherwise, I mean, I think it's something that we should live by. We want to make sure the county's presentable. We live in a society that takes care of the place where we live.
I think it will help the open dump situation in the county. You know, people won't be tempted to take it to a place and get rid of it. And we repeatedly spend money to clean up the same dumps. And I can attest for that. I have records of cleaning the same dump sites over and over and over. You know, it's just, there's no end to it. You know, like I said, we're just interested in people disposing of it properly. We're not asking to sign up on service. And I know Daryl will not be going from house to house asking for proof. He doesn't have the time or, well, basically the time to do so. It's just targeting in on areas that are really trashed.
Would you, maybe just for the people who are present and for the media's coverage, I know that you gave them a copy, but just highlight what it does entail, and so we can have this on public review, and we can vote to adopt this pending comments, public comments, and just see where it heads.
Well, you know, what I can do here is leave copies of this in the county clerk's office, like our
Why don't you just
comprehensive
tell us
plans.
more about it? Read it.
Okay. It's lengthy. The purpose of regulations is to assure the regular mandatory removal of trash and garbage from private and commercial properties in Lincoln County. Okay, enforcement. Enforcement of these regulations is vested in the Lincoln County Commission and local law enforcement agencies, Lincoln County Solid Waste Authority, U.S. Park Service, State of West Virginia, Division of Natural Resources, and the Department of Environmental Protection. It comes down here on Section 3 for definitions. Any structure or shelter of any part thereof in which a person spends one or more nights per year. A business, any location not classified as a residence that generates solid waste. Okay, solid waste means any garbage, paper, litter, refuse, cans, bottles, waste processed for the express purpose of incineration, sludge from a waste treatment plant, water supply treatment plant, or air pollution control facility, other discarded material, including offensive or unsightly matter, solid, liquid, semi-solid, contain liquid or gaseous material resulting from industrial, commercial, mining, or community activities, but does not include solid or dissolved material in sewage, or solid or dissolved materials in irrigation return flows or industrial discharges, which are point sources and have permits under Article 11, tells that code section in the book. Proof of proper solid waste disposal and fees. Every person occupying a residence and or operating a business must have solid waste disposal service through a private hauler, or shall be able to provide proof of legal disposal by legitimate receipt, which that does not, that's up to the commission. Like I said, we're not trying to have people to sign up on service or go to the landfill if they can dispose of it in another way. They cannot burn it, they cannot bury it. But I don't see why they can't give a bag of garbage, you know, if they had generate 1 or 2 bags of garbage, if they can't give it to someone else who is on their service. I mean, I may get in trouble for saying that.
Well, what if we put that in our ordinance? That's permissible.
How about I check on that with the Solid Waste Management Board to make sure that it is acceptable in doing so? I don't see, you know, truthfully, I don't see why not. It just,
I understand where you're coming from. I just think, and that's where I'm stuck from.
I agree. I don't think people need to pay for a bag of garbage or half a bag of garbage, or people that are struggling to pay their bills. That's not the intent of this at all. It's just to try to get people who are dumping on their property and just letting garbage pile up on their property. In the summertime, it's such a nuisance because we've been called in, the health department and I, from places here in town, rat infested, garbage bags filled full of debris. So I can come back the next meeting with an answer on that and see if I could amend that and add that in there.
I mean, you know, I think anyway, if the state says it has to be this way, then why do we even need a local ordinance? But we have a local ordinance, it should be our ordinance, it should be what the state's ordinance is, it should be ours. The state one,
That
we
makes
don't need
sense.
one, which I see it anyway.
That's true, but on the questionnaire, they're always that we are
I
to
know.
provide in order to get, you know, our funding for the county. That's always a priority there. What are we doing to enforce mandatory garbage disposal in Lincoln County? And this is a way we can start by doing this and be in compliance with the DP. But I will come back at your next meeting and I will have an answer to that question. Is that
Fair
okay?
enough.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I just wonder if there's any way to sort of pressure the waste haulers to move toward bag rate. You mentioned that. I mean, that's the idea that, you know, if you go to the recycling center with most of your stuff, and you're not going to get a receipt if you do that, so you can't prove it, but you would have less garbage, and then you would have a smaller amount. It seems like somehow if we could get the waste haulers to buy into that, that would encourage people to, you know, if I'm only got 1 bag of garbage, I'm going to pay $5. If I'm doing the maximum 7 bags of garbage, I'm paying $18.
It doesn't seem fair. And even Cabell County has a bag rate. But I talked with Terry Mullen of Allied Waste, and she said Lincoln County has never had that, nor do they anticipate having that for Lincoln County.
Well, we'll make more
Oh,
money.
yeah.
We don't have that.
Well, maybe we should send a letter to the Public Service Commission, saying we demand that we have that, and see what that gets us.
Okay? We could try it.
The other thing I was, you know, it's sort of like, even if we have the ordinance, will it become like the school smoking thing and the kids' attendance at school